Alright, boys, let's talk about the top of the East. And similar to the West video, project the playoffs a bit. And so we're going to go right to a Cavs and my beloved NBA champion Boston Celtics matchup. Because, sure, we'll talk about other teams in this vid, but if this is not the conference finals, then something wrong happened with one of these teams. Cavs are going to have home court advantage. They tied the season series at 2-2. Each game went about the same, where the Celtics get out to a lead and then the Cavs fight back. Interesting matchup stuff between the Celtics like having Tatum on Jared Allen. They like having their center on Mobley, at least when both bigs are in the game. Mobley has started games, if I'm remembering this right, like guarding JB or sometimes guarding Tatum. I mean, he can guard anybody. As I mentioned, Porzingis throughout this. Obviously, we'll see how healthy he is in the playoffs. And also, he's been dealing with an illness. Still don't know how big of a deal it is. But I think where I want to start is with Donovan Mitchell, who has mostly cooked the Celtics this season. But he's also gotten by Drew, Jalen, Derek White. He's rejected screens. He's had a number of finishes around KP, including a dunk on KP. He, as well as Garland, have searched for the Sam Hauser or Peyton Pritchard switch. And I think for me, what this comes down to is, would Donovan Mitchell put so much pressure on the Celtics by just making difficult shots and doing what he does to where they would put two to the ball on him? Because I don't think the Celtics want to do that. I mean, if we can reference the Laker game that they just played, in the beginning of that game, they were doubling Luka, and the Lakers kept on getting good shots. And then later on in the game, they just said, screw it, let's just see if we can hold up one-on-one first. And again, I just think that's what they would prefer. And this is kind of what happened in one of their losses to the Cavs this year, where Mitchell just went on a super heater in the fourth quarter, where he just kept on making tough shots to where it pulled, I think it was Porzingis, a little higher up, and then Mobley's getting a dunk on the back end, stuff like that. So it becomes either one guy on the Celtics proves to be able to really handle Mitchell, which up to this point has mostly not happened. But they got Drew, Jalen, and Derek White, so we'll see there. I know Horford just had a good game switching onto Luka. It was great what he was doing. The Cavs would also be testing him in that series. As far as Garland, so he has not shot great in the 4 games. Obviously, the first one was the worst one, but while there have been some drives where the Celtics have done a really good job of sticking with him, I think for a lot of this, he's gotten shots that he's okay with. You know, it's a lot of pull-ups, step-backs, floaters. 1-3 versus the Celtics zone late in their last one where they just totally lost him. Moving off the ball, I enjoyed that one. If any team is equipped in the Eastern Conference to guard the Celtics guards, or the Cavs guards, it's the Celtics, between the matchup things they can do with, like, you know, Tatum can switch if he's on Allen, although he doesn't do it every single time. And then all their good perimeter defenders, like, if they can't hold these two down, then it's just not going to happen, but they are equipped to do it. And again, they've been more fortunate with Garland and Mitchell so far this season. If we talk about Mobley, so Mobley in the last game, he made 2 threes off of Luke Kornet basically not guarding him. KP was not playing in that game. And then he also had a post-up late on Derek White, where I think that's a huge thing. Like, Mobley, enough has been said about his offensive growth this season, doing more stuff off the dribble, pushing in transition, aggressiveness in the half court, the whole thing. The Celtics series is where you'd really have to bust it out, because you know the Celtics are going to try switching, and anybody is going to end up on Mobley at any time. And if it's a size mismatch, it's got to be immediately find him and be physical. Now, as I say that, in the game before the last one, Mobley was not good, especially like in the opening stretch where he misses, like, I think it was like 4 or 5 shots with Porzingis guarding him, where, I mean, Porzingis is just way bigger than Mobley, and he's also much bigger than Allen as well. And we all know Horford can tap into something to guard really good players, especially in the playoffs. But if the Celtics are healthy, then of course he's coming off the bench. So yeah, basically Mobley has to be able to counter whoever is guarding him on the Celtics. If it's a big, can you take him off the dribble? If it's a smaller guy, can you overpower him? Also, if a big doesn't want to get out there to guard you from 3, you got to make him. Sounds basic, but it is what it is. And then you think about DeAndre Hunter, where you get him for this exact series. It gives you more of a chance on JB and Tatum, and some more juice on offense, especially with shooting, good stuff. And then after that, you're seeing if Sam Merrill and Max Strus and DeAndre Hunter will cook from 3, if Jared Allen will get a bunch of open stuff on the back line from just breakdowns. And then on the other end, I'm going to bring up Derek White and Peyton Pritchard first, because the game they just had against the Blazers is fresh in my mind, but also like Derek White went crazy in a fourth quarter versus the Cavs, and just the X factor of either one of those two just going crazy in a series. I mean, Derek White's going to be doing everything because he does everything. But then after that, you know, with Tatum and Jalen, it does feel like those two are, at some point in any Cavs matchup, they're going to just go streamlined into attacking Garland especially and getting that mismatch and try to get Tatum on him like around the free throw line or get Jalen going downhill on him. Okay, it's a good idea. I just don't like when they take damn near the entire shot clock to do it. And then besides that, I mean, I mentioned Mobley earlier. A good amount of the shots that Tatum took in his last game, where he shot 37 shots, by the way, was Mobley switched onto him or Jared Allen switched onto him. And just as I say that the Celtics, if anybody has the perimeter defenders to slow down Garland and Mitchell, it's got to be the Celtics, and also the rim protectors for it. If any team has two bigs who can be mobile enough while still protecting the basket enough to guard just everything the Celtics do with all the spacing, then it's going to be Mobley and Allen. Now, as I say that, like in the recent win, they went Mobley at center in the fourth quarter. Allen was not out there because that spaces the floor out so much. You know that stuff. And then as far as Porzingis, I mean, yeah, like KP being healthy and just being able to punish anything that potentially happens where he's left open or he's got a smaller guy on him. Like, of course, that's going to be huge if Drew is healthy and if Drew also is like able to get buckets enough. Because look, I love Drew. He has been starting to show some signs this season, I'll just say, on offense this season. But yeah, look, I'm sure Knicks fans will have something to say about it. Pacers and Bucks fans will have something to say about this. But again, if this is not our conference finals, something went wrong. Okay, let's talk about the rest of the East. Let's go to the Knicks. So 3 things. Number 1, best wishes to Cat. I'm sure we've all seen what's going on with his personal life right now. Also, best wishes to Brunson, who has an ankle sprain, and that looked really rough in real time. Luckily for them, they've got a 4-game cushion on the 3 seed as I do this. And also, Mitch is back, although he is now also dealing with an ankle. I will talk Mitch, but it's going to be at the end of this Knicks thing. They have lost every game they've played to the Cavs and Celtics this season, and in their last 15 games, they're 23rd in defensive rating. So much of this just comes down to how they match up with the Cavs and the Celtics. More so the Celtics right now because they project to have them in round 2. I will say for round 1, if they get the Pistons, first off, congrats to the Pistons. The Knicks should win that series in no more than 5 games. I do think the Pistons could make it a pretty annoying 5 games. You put Asar on Brunson, you play really physical, Cade puts Cat at 1,000,000 screens, Beasley will take 1,000,000 threes. Again, Knicks win that series, but yeah. And I would bet that neither the Pacers or the Bucks fall to the 6th seed, but the Pistons are right there, so you can't ignore the possibility. Before Knicks fans get mad at me, assuming Brunson's ankle is good, I would pick the Knicks over the Pacers or the Bucks in a series. But I still think those series are interesting. Because the Pacers, similar to the Knicks, they space the floor out, and they put a lot of pressure on you with their point guard. I mean, Halliburton has been cooking for a minute now. He's looking more shifty. He's creating more separation off of screens and handoff actions. Sure, the Pacers can put Nesmith on Brunson. The Knicks can put McHale on Halley and OG on, I assume, Siakam. But part of me feels like that series might just become a shootout. And a Bucks series, I mean, Giannis is the best player. Dame can put a lot of pressure on them with pick and rolls. I'll get more into this in a second, but the Bucks have pieced together a good defense for a minute now. I don't love their perimeter options on Brunson, and I also wonder if Brook can hang around defensively with all the spacing the Knicks put on the floor. With Cat at center, you could try some things, Brook on Josh Hart, whatever. And that's where I come back to with the Knicks and a potential Pacers-Bucks thing, where the cheat code of Cat at center and just the spacing it creates, even with like Nesmith and Nembhard back now and the Bucks again putting together a good defense lately, it's just too tough to guard that for those teams in my eyes. I mean, the Knicks have blown out the Bucks twice. You can say, well, that was before they improved defensively. Sure, fine. They put up like 130 on the Pacers recently. Pacers also put up like 120, but they scored more. Anyway, that took a while. A Knicks-Celtics thing with which the Celtics have beaten the Knicks each time this year. So besides the fact that I think it's going to be really hard for the Knicks to not get torched by the Celtics from 3, up to this point, I think the Celtics have taken away the Karl Anthony Towns spacing cheat code that just breaks certain other defenses. The Celtics, they keep putting mostly Tatum on Cat, and they're also comfortable with switching Drew or Jalen especially onto Cat. Then if they got to bring doubles, they'll do it. And I don't think the Knicks have done enough to counter this. I mean, Cat, he had 20 in the last game, but even then, he didn't really get going until later on in the game when they were already down by a lot. He did get a lot of rebounds, I'll give him that one. The trade-off to them having Tatum on him in that first quarter of the recent one, where they went down like 20 by the end of the first, was it allowed Porzingis to help off of Josh Hart. And he blocked Cat a couple times in that game, or at least he blocked him once. Another time Cat missed with Porzingis around the rim, or in that first quarter, like the Knicks, they might have missed a few, but the Celtics were just able to pack the paint. And again, Porzingis was able to just kind of live down there playing off a Hart. And while I do think the Knicks eventually found some counters, I mean, Josh Hart did finish the game with 20 points and 9 assists. And Cat eventually got some buckets and some rebounds. It felt like they weren't ready for this until they went down by 20-something points. And yes, I know they got the game closer in the fourth quarter there, and I know Cat was dealing with something by the end of the game, but still, you don't want to go down by 20-something to the Celtics. Unless you're the Cavs, in which case you actually can complete the comeback. And you got options there. I mean, whether it's Josh Hart as a screener, Josh Hart as a play initiator, obviously there's also Cat just going to work against the Celtics wings who are good defensively and strong and capable of guarding guys bigger than them, Drew included. Or maybe Tibbs finds the perfect spot on the floor to give the ball to Cat to where he's got the best angles to make passes against the Celtics doubles. You gotta find something. Maybe it's off-ball sets to get Cat just open threes versus whoever's might be guarding him. I don't know. You gotta find something. And also, when Horford is in the game, it's typically going to be more just Horford guarding Cat, and okay, then you can try to run more screen actions and go at Al that way, or it's just going to be Cat having to score on Al, and we know Al can guard star players. Besides that, they're going to need Mikal and OG to do the best they possibly can on Jalen and Tatum. And I didn't even talk about Derek White or Porzingis, so yeah, good luck. And again, I will point out this illness that Porzingis has, I don't know how bad it is. And speaking of the Cavs, if we do get a Knicks-Cavs matchup, then that means either the Knicks fell to the 4th seed, or I'm a very disappointed Celtics fan. Yeah, I mean, the Cavs just beat them by like nearly 40 points, and they torched them from 3. Mobley got open for so many rolls or backdoor cuts or putbacks. So that's cool, but we're probably getting Knicks Celtics. Anyway, now we can talk Mitch. So how has Mitch looked so far? Well, in his first game back against the Grizzlies, while I do think he looked tired in his second stint in the second half, for the most part, outside of like a bad foul on Brandon Clark, I thought he was moving pretty okay, and just his general presence around the basket, on the glass and defensively, it looked good. And then we also got a very small look at the Cat-Mitch lineup versus the Lakers. It was like 2 minutes. And in those 2 minutes, we saw Mitch guard like 3 different screen actions because he was on Jackson Hayes and then Cat was on like Finney Smith or Vando. One time he switches on Luka. A couple other times he was high up on screens. One he looked good on. One Jackson Hayes got open, although he almost blocked him. So interesting stuff. I mean, that is their one last ticket to being way better defensively, being more physical, all that stuff. It's just Mitch. And then for the Pacers and the Bucks, we'll just kind of lump them together here. So as far as this improved defense the Bucks have had for a minute now, I mean, lately Taurean Prince has been on lead ball handlers between Cole Anthony, Darius Garland, Jalen Green in a game where Fred was out, Tyler Hero, Trey, you get it. Some Gary Trent Jr. ending up here as well. The Kuzma lineups have been positive, and then I would say they're probably providing like a little more aggressive defense than they were in the Bud days as far as bringing help, and I guess also how high Brook is on screens sometimes. But for the most part, Brook is still dropping back on screens. They still want teams to take mid-range jumpers. They still don't want to give up a lot of corner threes. And I think where you see this in the numbers is they don't get that many steals and blocks, but also they're among the league leaders in opponent mid-range attempts per game, and also they're the best defensive rebounding team in the league in the last like 15 games, which is usually a product of a safer type of defense, and also just having Brook Lopez, where sure, Brook might not always get the rebound, but he's going to box somebody out, or multiple guys out. The Bucks are now 9th in defensive rating for the season, and if you go last 15 games, they're actually like number 5. And then as far as the Pacers, I mean, Nembhard and Nesmith being back did a lot for their defense, as you would expect. And then Halliburton has just been better for a minute now, except for the 0-point game against Kamara and the Blazers. I mean, I said earlier, he's creating more separation. Feels like he's getting deeper into the paint before making the kickouts, because earlier in the season, the kickouts were happening too early on drives. And of course, that was that whole thing early in the season of, is it his hamstring, is it his back, that whole thing. Yeah, I think the Pacers are just back to being a really unique team to deal with in a playoff series where the floor is spaced out, and they put a lot of pressure on you with Halliburton, and Siakam is going to be a stabilizer for them in the half court. They're going to have Mathurin as a wild card that they did not have last year because he was hurt in the playoffs. And they've got all their quick handoff actions and ghost screens and whoever screening for whoever, all that nice stuff. I mean, the Bucks are spaced out with Brook as well, but, you know, the Pacers, when it's really clicking, their offense just does things that not a lot of other teams' offenses can do. But the Bucks have Giannis. And as far as a Pacers-Bucks series, which a decent chance we get it as the 4-5, Giannis would be the best player. You can try Nesmith on him, who's going to be really physical. You can try Siakam. You can also try Turner, which is not a weird thing at all to have your center on Giannis. Brook is not going to want to close out to the Pacers shooters all day, especially coming off a screen action, so somebody else is going to have to make those rotations. And, of course, Giannis is the best player in that thing. It sounds like a fun series. Who wins it? I don't know. When it comes time for that, we'll do predictions. But the winner, as of right now, would get the Cavs in round 2, and, well, we'd all pick the Cavs. So, yeah, we still got some time until the playoffs, but that's the gist. Anyway, new Lady Gaga album goes crazy.